The first scream came from the copy room. It was loud, sharp, full of fear. Everyone on the office floor froze. Printers stopped humming. Keyboards went quiet. Coffee cups paused in midair. For one strange second, the whole workplace felt like it was holding its breath. Then the lights went out. Emergency lights flicked on, glowing a cold blue. Shadows stretched across the walls, long and shaky. Someone laughed nervously. Probably a power cut, Mark Reynolds said, trying to sound calm. He stood up from his desk and looked around. Everyone stay cool. Another scream echoed down the hallway. This one was closer. Mark's phone buzzed in his hand. A message popped up from Lisa Turner in accounting. Something is wrong. The doors won't open. Before he could reply, something slammed hard against the glass wall near the elevators. Bang! The glass shook. People screamed. Mark turned just in time to see a dark shape slide down the glass, leaving long streaks behind. Whatever it was moved away too fast to see clearly. Get away from the windows, someone shouted. That was when the alarms started. Not fire alarms. Not drills. A deep, low sound that made Mark's chest feel tight. That was how the attack began. But it didn't start that way. The workday had been normal. Boring, even. It was Tuesday morning at Northgate Office Center, a tall building filled with small companies and tired workers. Mark arrived at 8:30 a.m., coffee in hand, thinking about deadlines and lunch plans. Lisa waved at him as he passed her desk. Morning, she said. You hear about the new security upgrade? Mark shrugged. As long as it doesn't slow the elevators. By mid-morning, the office buzzed with quiet noise. Phones rang. Emails came in. The smell of warm paper and old carpet filled the air. No one noticed the security cameras flicker. No one noticed the loading bay door open by itself. At 10:17 a.m., the first emergency door locked. At 10:19, the elevators stopped. At 10:21, the copy room camera went dark. That was when the screaming started. Back in the present, Mark stood in the hallway, his heart pounding. People crowded behind him, whispering and crying. What was that? Lisa asked, her voice shaking. I don't know, Mark said. But we need to move. They headed toward the stairwell. The door wouldn't open. Mark pulled harder. Nothing. It's locked, he said. Why would they lock it? Lisa asked. Before Mark could answer, footsteps echoed from the far end of the hall. Slow. Heavy. Step. Drag. Step. The sound grew closer. A shadow appeared at the corner. Someone stumbled into view. It was Brian, the night cleaner. His uniform was torn. His face was pale. His eyes were wide and empty. Brian. Mark called. Thank God. What's going on? Brian lifted his head slowly. His mouth opened, and something that was not a voice came out. People screamed and backed away as Brian took a step toward them. His movements were wrong, too stiff, too sharp. Behind him, more shadows appeared. The emergency lights flickered. Mark grabbed Lisa's arm. We need to run, he whispered. But the hallway behind them was already closing in, and the thing wearing Brian's face was smiling. Mark pulled Lisa toward the conference room. Move. Now, he shouted. People ran in all directions. Some tripped. Some cried. Someone dropped a phone that kept ringing on the floor, the sound echoing in the empty hallway. Brian took another step forward. His head tilted to the side in a slow, strange way. His smile stayed frozen, wide and wrong. The skin around his mouth looked tight, like it might tear. Brian, stop, Mark said, backing away. It's me. Brian didn't stop. He rushed forward. Mark slammed the conference room door shut just in time. Brian crashed into it from the other side, making the glass shake. Bang! 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 Everyone inside screamed. Mark pushed a table against the door. Two other workers helped him, their hands shaking. Oh my God, Lisa whispered. What happened to him? I don't know, Mark said, breathing hard. But that's not Brian anymore. The banging stopped. Silence followed. Too quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. The blue emergency lights hummed softly above them. Then a soft scratching sound came from the door. Slow. Careful. Like fingernails dragging across glass. Don't open it, someone whispered. The scratching moved away. Mark looked around the room. About 12 people were trapped with him. Some were hiding under the table. Others pressed themselves against the walls. We can't stay here forever, Mark said quietly. We need another way out. Lisa pointed to the ceiling. The vents. Maintenance uses them sometimes. Mark nodded. It's not great, but it's something. They dragged a chair under the vent and pushed the cover loose. Dust fell down like gray snow. Mark climbed up first. The vent was tight and dark, lit only by the blue glow coming through the gaps. The metal felt cold under his hands. Lisa followed him. Then others. As they crawled, voices echoed through the building. Screams. Crashes. Alarms that started and stopped again. Mark reached a vent opening above the main office floor. He looked down. His stomach dropped. Desks were overturned. Papers floated in the air. Several people stood in the middle of the room. But they weren't moving. They stood still, heads bent, arms hanging. Then one of them lifted their head. Their eyes reflected the blue light like glass. They all turned at once. Mark pulled back fast. "Don't look," he whispered. "Don't make a sound." The group froze. Below them, the workers began to move. Slowly. Together. Like they were being pulled by the same string. One of them stopped under the vent. The face tilted up. It was Sarah, from HR. Her mouth opened. She sniffed the air. Lisa covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. "We need to go back," Mark whispered. They crawled the other way, faster now. The vents seemed longer. Louder. Every sound echoed. A loud crash shook the vent. The metal rattled. "They are breaking doors," someone whispered behind him. Mark's heart raced. He saw a red exit sign glowing faintly through another vent opening ahead. "That's the stairwell," he said. "If it's not locked." A loud screech cut him off. The vent behind them bent inward. Something was climbing in. Mark turned and saw a pale hand grip the edge of the vent opening. Fingers too long. Nails dark. The face followed. It wasn't Brian. It was someone else. And it was smiling. "Go!" Mark shouted. The vent shook hard as the thing pulled itself inside. Mark kicked the vent cover near the exit sign and dropped down into the stairwell. Lisa fell in after him. The door slammed shut behind them. The stairwell was empty. For a second, Mark felt hope. Then he heard the sound again. Step, drag, step, coming from below. And above. The stairwell lights flickered. Mark realized something terrible. They were already surrounded. The stairwell doors shook at the same time. Mark stood in the middle of the stairs, holding Lisa close. People crowded behind them, trapped between metal walls and flickering blue lights. Every breath sounded loud. Every second felt too long. From above, something slammed into the door. From below, something else answered. "They are everywhere," Lisa whispered. Mark looked down the stairs. The lower door bent inward as hands pressed against it. Not knocking. Pushing. Testing. "We can't stay here," Mark said. His voice shook, but his mind was clear. "We go up." "Up," someone cried. "There's no exit at the top." "There's the roof," Mark said. "Maintenance access. It's our only chance." The group began climbing. The stairwell lights flickered harder now, some going dark completely. Shadows moved along the walls, stretching and shrinking as if alive. The sound of dragging footsteps followed them, slow but steady. Halfway up, the door below burst open. They saw them clearly now. Workers. Co-workers. Friends. But they didn't move like people anymore. Their heads jerked at strange angles. Their mouths hung open. Their eyes followed the group with quiet focus. No shouting. No screaming. Just walking. Always walking. Faster. Mark yelled. They reached the top floor, lungs burning. Mark slammed his shoulder into the roof access door. Locked. "No, no, no," Lisa cried. Mark searched the wall and found a red box. Emergency release. He smashed the glass with his elbow and pulled the handle. The door opened. Cold air rushed in. They spilled onto the roof as the door slammed shut behind them. The city spread out below, quiet and unaware. The sun was starting to fall, painting the sky in pale orange and gray. For a moment, there was silence. Then the door rattled. "They'll break through," someone said. Mark scanned the roof. Satellite dishes. Air units. A tall maintenance ladder on the far side. "That ladder," he said. "It goes down the back of the building." They ran. The door behind them burst open. The workers poured onto the roof. They didn't rush. They didn't run. They spread out, surrounding them. Mark helped Lisa onto the ladder. "Go. Don't stop." As she climbed down, one of the workers grabbed Mark's arm. The grip was cold and strong. Too strong. Mark pulled away and shoved the person back. They didn't fall. They just stood there, head tilted, watching him. More hands reached for him. "Mark!" Lisa screamed from below. Mark looked at her. "Go!" he shouted. I'll slow them down. No, she cried. Mark kicked a loose metal panel and sent it sliding across the roof. The sound pulled the workers' attention for a second. It was enough. Lisa reached the bottom. Others followed. Mark backed toward the ladder as the workers closed in. Their faces were empty, calm, like they didn't hate him, like they didn't feel anything at all. Mark grabbed the ladder and started down. A hand caught his ankle. He screamed and kicked hard. The grip loosened. Mark dropped the rest of the way and hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his leg, but he stood. They ran. Sirens wailed in the distance now. Police. Fire trucks. Behind them, workers began falling from the roof. Not jumping. Walking off. They hit the ground and stood up again. Lisa sobbed as they ran. What are they? Mark didn't answer. They reached the street just as police cars arrived. Officers shouted. Weapons raised. The workers stopped. They turned and walked back into the building. The doors closed behind them. The next day, the news said it was a gas leak. A mass panic. Hallucinations. Northgate Office Center was shut down. No bodies were found. No explanation given. Mark quit his job. Lisa moved away. Months later, Mark passed the building at night. The lights were on. Every floor. He stopped walking. In the glass, he saw them. Standing at the windows. Watching. Waiting. And deep inside the building, something learned how to open doors.